Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to GMA News, your go-to source for insightful stories and meaningful news. I'm Sheba Lopez. I'll be your anchor for today's program. In today's special feature, we will explore the journey of the Balangiga Bells, from their role in the Philippine-American War, through the controversies and conflicts they've ignited, to the monumental effort that lead to the return to the Philippines. It's a story of resilience, diplomacy, and ultimately, unity. Joining us to guide through this complex story is our reporter on the ground, Tresha Bacuba. Tresha, can you provide us with some historical context on the Balangiga Bells and their significance?
Certainly, Sheba. The Balangiga church bells tolled on the morning of September 28, 1901 in the town of Balangiga, Eastern Samar. Filipino insurgents executed a daring attack on an American garrison. Disguised as local women, the insurgents ambushed U.S. soldiers during breakfast, resulting in the death of nearly 48 Americans. But the American troops retaliated and killed 2,000 men above the age of 10 in the town. This event marked a significant and brutal episode in the larger context of the Philippine-American War. The Balangiga Bells, which rang during the historic event, gained even more significance. So then the Balangiga Bells, also known as the Campanas de Balangiga, were taken by the United States Army as well as troops. This seizure marked a significant event that would shape the controversies surrounding them for decades to come.
Now, joining us to guide through this complex story is our reporter on the ground, Gerah Mae Cortes. The Balangiga Massacre is a pivotal event in this story. Can you elaborate on that, Gerah?
Yes, Sheba. In the aftermath of the Balangiga Massacre, General Jacob Smith ordered a brutal retaliation known as the Kill Unborn Order, targeting Filipino civilians. Amid this campaign, the U.S. military seized the Balangiga Bells, which had rung during the attack. The bells became contentious symbols of victory for Americans and anguish for Filipinos.
Gerah, the controversies surrounding the Balangiga Bells have persisted for decades. What are the key issues at play?
Yes, Sheba, there are several key issues in the Balangiga Bells controversy. First, there is the issue of ownership and return. Advocates, including the Filipino government, have long called for the return of the bells as cultural artifacts symbolizing Filipino resistance and national pride. Opinions on whether the bells should be returned or remain in the possession of the United States vary. Additionally, there are divergent views on the historical significance of the Balangiga Bells and their role in representing either Filipino resistance or American history. The cultural heritage and identity of the Filipino people, particularly those in Balangiga, are deeply intertwined with the bells, making their repatriation essential for preserving and honoring this heritage. Lastly, the return of the bells in 2018 marked a turning point, fostering hopes for improved bilateral relations, but conflicting views persist on whether this gesture is sufficient for the true reconciliation.
Thank you, Gerah Mae Cortes, for providing us with a comprehensive overview of the controversies surrounding the Balangiga Bells. Now, let's hear from someone who is an expert on the Philippine-American relations. Ms. Sharon?
The Balangiga Bells are not just ordinary church bells. They hold immense historical and cultural significance for the people of Balangiga and the Philippines as a whole. These bells were not only witnesses to the Balangiga Massacre, but also played a crucial role in that event. They were rung as a signal to begin the surprise attack on the American garrison, making them a symbol of the Filipino resistance and the fight for independence. The sounds of these bells echoed through the streets of Balangiga, rallying our people and inspiring them to stand up against the colonizers. They represent the spirit of our ancestors who bravely fought for our freedom. The seizure of these bells by the U.S. military during the Philippines-American War was a painful loss for our community. For decades, we have fought for their return, as they are not just only artifacts but a part of our identity and heritage.
The two of the bells were displayed in the museum in Yuming and other in South Korea. Efforts to retrieve the bells were made since 1950, but the U.S. only agreed to return the wartime artifacts when President Rodrigo Duterte demanded for this in his 2017 State of the Nation address.
President of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Give us back those Balangiga bells. They are ours. They belong to the Philippines. They are part of our national heritage.
The historic Balangiga bells are finally back in the Philippines, 117 years after it was taken by the American troops as war trophy in 1901. Officials says the return of the bells signals closure to the painful past between the Philippines and the United States. Gerah Mae Cortes tells us why.
After more than a century, the three Balangiga bells have arrived home in the Philippines. U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines Sung Kim handed the bells over the Philippine Defense Secretary Delphin Lorenzana during a ceremony at the air base. Ambassador Sung Kim says the return of the historic bells reflect the history and strengthened ties of the Philippines and the U.S.
Decision to return the bells clearly reflects our shared values, shared history, and our commitment to this relationship. This is a relationship of equals, of two independent sovereign nations, and of mutual respect.
It is my great honor to be here at this closing of a painful chapter in our history. The bells of Balangiga are now home, in the Philippines, where they belong. May they ring in peace and bear testament to the ties and values which bind our two great nations for generations to come.
Happy kami dumating na for how many years? Nandito na rin. Thank you, Lord. Bless America because they return our bell and bless our Balangiga.
Bells are returned. Credit goes to the American people and to the Filipino people. Period.
U.S. Defense Deputy Assistant Secretary Joseph Felter says the America decided to return the bells in respect to the Philippines and to honor the two countries' shared sacrifices.
We have no closer ally anywhere than the Philippines, and this is a gesture that we hope is viewed positively as an investment in this relationship in our alliance. So again, this is what allies do. This is what friends do.
Balangiga town resident and grandchild of Vicente Cantilosas, who sounded the bell during the Filipinos' attack in 1901, describes the bell's return as long overdue.
Ang simbolo ng kampana sa amin ay yung aming pagligtas sa sarili namin sa mananakot. Freedom!
The return of the Balangiga bells in 2018 marked a significant moment on this ongoing dispute. Can you share with us the impact it had on the people of Balangiga?
The return of the Balangiga bells in 2018 was a momentous occasion for our town and the entire nation. It was a symbol of justice and reconciliation. The bells hold a deep emotional and historical significance for our community, and their representation brought a sense of closure and healing. It was a recognition of the sacrifices made by our ancestors and a step towards honoring our heritage. The return of the bells fostered a renewed sense of pride and unity among the people of Balangiga. It reminded us of our resilience and the importance of preserving our cultural identity. The bells now serve as a reminder of our shared history and the need to promote understanding and reconciliation between nations.
Not a matter of forgiveness, it's a matter of the right thing to do. Those bells belong to the people of Balangiga and their church.
This is Gerah Mae Cortes from GMA CBN News, your go-to source for insightful stories and meaningful news.
Thank you, Gerah, for shedding light on the intricacies of the Balangiga bells controversy. The complexities of the Balangiga bells, Balangiga Massacre controversies are deeply intertwined with the broader narrative of the Philippine-American War. As both nations grappled with a shared history encapsulated by these bells, they stand not just artifacts but potent symbols, embodying the challenges of reconciling conflicting views on a turbulent past. The return of the Balangiga bells in 2018 serves as a significant turning point, sparking hopes for reconciliation and understanding between the Philippines and the United States. That concludes our special report on the Balangiga Bells. Thank you for joining us today on GMA CBN News. This is Sheba Lopez, your go-to source for insightful stories and meaningful news.